Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Creepy, paranormal encounters thread? I'll start. Be me. Both grandparents die in a car accident. Was very close with my grandparents. Go home after the funeral. Go to my room. Start crying uncontrollably. A voice tells me that it'll be okay. I realized it was my grandfather's voice. Immediately look up and see my closet door closing. The closet door was already closed when I went into my room.
Be staying at an old country house down south for my uncle's wedding. Nice, big house, but was quite chilly all the time without the heating on. Stay up in a little side room to myself. Vents connect to every room in the house. Also in this room was a hatch to the attic, only one in the house. Rest of the house went shopping one day, 2 to 3 people, just me left. Wind kicks up something fierce, it's howling loudly outside. Wind made it sound like whispers through the vents. Windows slammed open from the force outside. Every morning I woke up from then on, I noticed the hatch cracked open a smidgen more. Must have just been that wind. Forget about it. 2 days later, I get this random fear in my chest. Like the feeling you get when someone is watching you. I managed to shake it off and calm myself. Next morning, the hatch was cracked open a quarter more than it was, like it was opened and closed in a hurry. Nope, out of that room and sleep downstairs for the last few days.
Be me, 17 years old. Have an edgy junkie boyfriend. 2 months later I found out on Facebook he died due to an OD. Not sure if it was accidental or self-end, but he had told me he tried to OD on heroin before. Just got over it and accepted he did what he did. A week later develop obsessive thoughts about him. Vividly remembering everything we talked about and did together. Feeling really infatuated with him even though he's dead. Start having hyper-realistic dreams about everything we did together, with every detail being exactly on point. This goes on every night for more than a week. Eventually the dreams start having warped twists on the stuff we did together, like in one, he attacked me while I was intoxicated. Another one was where we went to the cinema and then he randomly shoots everyone. I start having dreams about events we didn't do now that feel extremely real. He starts to act more violent and unsettled, and he looks more deteriorated and crazy. They involve really twisted, sick stuff, like in one he kidnapped me and kept me locked in his room, and he made me go out at night to find girls to bring back to him to attack and murder. This goes on for about a month, then abruptly stops and I never have them again. Yeah, this is the most paranormal thing I can think of happening to me, even though nothing paranormal happened in real life. But all the dreams felt so real, and his voice and appearance and everything was like he was actually there, slowly going insane as the dreams went on, and I never forgot them when I woke up, and I can still clearly remember them to this day, so it makes me wonder if it was his ghost unhappy with me for some reason or something.
Be working on a transport ship. Middle of night, coast of Norway. Sitting on the bridge talking with the captain and a couple of the crew. Weather kinda shit, lots of rain. Playing cards etc. Blip blip blip. Something is up on the radar. Captain gets on the radio, nothing. Big pings in the radar, at least a 40-meter vessel. Captain blows horn. No response, no sound, no lights. At this point just scared of collision. Call in to the Coast Guard, no traffic in our area besides us. The radar signature is moving around. Everyone is looking out the bridge windows. See nothing. Go outside with 2 other guys. Raining, windy. Suddenly hear an old ship's bell. Ding, ding. Ding, hear the loud sound of flapping sails. Ding, 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 then nothing. We freak out. Go inside, knock on wood. Captain doesn't ask, says radar signature is gone. I did not sleep that night.
I go hiking in these woods once or twice a year. The place is called Cannock Chase, Staffordshire, England, has a reputation as a paranormal hotspot. This is not a story but a series of spooky happenings. When going through the woods at night I can hear voices. As soon as I stop I hear nothing. Start walking and I can hear the voices whispering again. I've had this happen a few times. I've seen a lot of evidence of strange rituals up there. Flower petals laid out around a stone, bags full of bones hanging low in a tree. One night I was having trouble sleeping, so I went for a short walk near camp. I headed down this short trail near camp for about 10 minutes and I heard some shouting. I keep walking down and I realize that it's some sort of chanting. Sounded like a Kiwi haka but more rhythmic. I slowed my pace but kept walking down. It was getting louder and louder. I was getting real close and started to feel like I was being watched. At that point I just noped the fuck out of there, which really isn't like me. Typically I don't get scared, but that night I did. I've also had some strange animal encounters up there. I was walking down this heavily wooded trail, at night again, noticed an eye shine to the left. Continued on and I noticed that the animal had begun to follow me. It was a large dog-sized animal that probably followed me for about a mile. It kept its distance but it was unnerving. I've had a couple of more encounters with animals up there but this shit is getting too long. This one time I had been on a very long night hike. Was only 3-ish miles from camp. The trail led out of the woods and through this short grassy hill. I'm about halfway through when I shine my flashlight behind and I see eye shine. This animal was about 150 feet away, low down in the tall grass. Not sure what I was looking at, it was still, so I walked on for about 20 seconds. Turn around and it is a lot closer. It has closed about half the distance. I could now see it was a lot larger than I originally thought. Eyes were wider and higher than any other animal I've seen in England. It was some sort of big cat for sure. I started walking backwards facing the creature. It just straight up started leaping and running towards me, and this fucker was huge. Like 6 to 7 feet long. I start shouting as loud as I could, waving my arms in the air. Desperately trying to walk backwards as fast as possible without taking my eyes off. It stopped when I first started shouting, but it was still following me. I probably walked almost half a mile backwards facing this thing. It eventually lost interest, but if I hadn't have noticed it in the first place I wouldn't be here, I'm sure of that. Thing is, England isn't supposed to have any natural predators. Wolves died out by the 17th century and bears a few centuries before that.
Evening, mate. I live in Rugeley and a few lads from school, and I used to bike up to the Chase most weekends. We witnessed some creepy shit there. Be me, about 12. 2002 or so. Usual Saturday bike ride to the Chase. Races, climbing trees, etc. Anyway, just hanging. See a girl a little into the woods. In a weird paisley dress and brown boots, muddy as fuck. Quiet as fuck though everywhere. We all spook to fuck but playing it cool. Eventually we call out. She comes a little closer. My face when that's weird mud. She talks to us asking what we're doing. Can she play? etc. Now we're all shitting ourselves but playing it cool for each other. She won't properly come out of woods. Still quiet as F. Seems a little too young to be out here. Where are your parents?
I don't know.
What's your name?
Diane.
A little girl called Diane Keck. What? We all make the eyes to leave. Turn to say bye. My face when that girl isn't there. Now this was either a brilliant prank, but this was before the YouTube prank shit even was a thought, and to add more, I spoke to my grandma about this, Turns out as my mom was a baby there had been a few murders carried out in Cannock Chase and one was a little girl called Diane. We went back a few times after to see if shit would happen, but when it went quite like it did we always noped out and left.
The house my mother lives in is haunted. The previous owners both died on the property. The wife died when she fell through the glass shower door and the husband died in the backyard from a heart attack or something like that. Things were constantly disappearing and shifting around in the bathroom. More than once the heavy liter-size shampoo and conditioners would fall off the shelves in the shower. The smaller products would fall too, but it was the giant containers that really freaked me out. Sometimes you could hear the sound of running water, but by the time you got to the bathroom to look, they stopped. More than once, I'd wake up to the sound of a lawnmower. Usually it'd be in the middle of the night and stop as soon as I sat up in bed. The washer and dryer are downstairs in the basement. There's a lingering smell of an old man's cologne down there. Multiple people have smelled it and said they've heard whispers. The only word I've ever been able to pick out is a raspy hi. One time when one is gathering clothes from the dryer, I heard a chuckle. When I was upstairs folding the clothes, I realized everything was inside out. Every pair of underwear, sock, and shirt were inside out. One of my earliest experiences was in middle school not long after we moved into the house. I had a stereo I kept in my room on my dresser. I like to listen to music on a lower volume as background noise. So the first time I woke up to it blaring I was quite confused. I couldn't figure out why it turned itself on. Being the edgy teenager I was, I only listened to the local alternative station. Back then, the song "Panic Switch" was popular. The radio went off again one night while playing the lyrics, "Can you fall asleep with a panic switch?" I unplugged it and the next day put it in the basement.
Living in Phoenix, Arizona. Neighborhood is right next to a hiking ground called Papago Park. Supermoon and meteor shower happening in tandem with one another in December 2016. 1 to 1:30 a.m. Go to a white pyramid on a big mound called Governor Hunt's Tomb to see the meteor shower. 2:30 a.m. Start to head home, cutting a line through the parking lots in front of a location called Hole in the Rock. See something in one of the resting spots. Get closer to it, notice that it's someone lying down on the floor in a blanket. Figure it's a homeless person crashing there for the night. Decide to leave my jug of water there for them so that they aren't too thirsty after they get up. I get closer to the resting spot. Notice that the person is tied up in that blanket and placed on a carpet with some sort of symbol on it that looks like a spiral. There are bones lined up on the tables next to the person in the blanket. There's some weird looking metal chain shit on the floor next to the person. Just stand there frozen for a moment like a deer in headlights. Decide to haul ass out of the fucking hiking ground. From that day forward I've never fucking gone back to Papago Park after midnight.
I'm still not really sure about UFOs, but I know for 100% certain that I saw something when I was flying by myself in a Cessna late at night. Was working on getting my commercial pilot's license at the time, so I had to build flight hours. Easy way to do that was to rent a Cessnas from my local flight school and fly around the state to visit friends. One night I was coming back from a friend's place in Gainesville, Florida, and it was a super bright clear night. Moon was out and I was cruising at 9,000 feet. When you're flying at night, it's incredibly easy to spot planes because of their rotating beacon and navigation lights on each wingtip. It's a pretty common occurrence to spot traffic and get vectored around them even at 2 in the morning. Maybe about 8 to 10 miles directly ahead of me I spotted another aircraft with what looked to be its landing light on approaching me directly head-on at the same altitude. After a minute or so of flying head-on with the aircraft was about 2 to 3 miles distant now, I radioed Miami Center to see if they wanted to vector me around the oncoming traffic. The second I keyed the mic and called in my tail number, the landing light on the approaching aircraft quadrupled the intensity of its light. My entire cabin lit up and I got pretty much blinded. For a second I completely panicked because I thought I misjudged the distance and I was about to die in a head-on air-to-air collision. I felt for the heading knob and gave it a good twist and changed my course by about 45 degrees. The oncoming light changed course with me and continued to shine into my cabin but dialed back its intensity by quite a bit. Then all of a sudden the light completely cuts out. The instant that happens, Miami Center calls me back. At the time I still couldn't see very well, but I told air traffic control I had changed course to avoid traffic at the same altitude less than a mile distant. They said they had nothing on radar. Rest of the flight was uneventful, but I was super freaked out. The whole thing lasted maybe 10 seconds. I didn't tell anybody about it for a while because I figured people would think I'm lying or crazy. Honestly, it could have been another aircraft and maybe I really did narrowly avoid a mid-air, but there's a couple things that didn't add up to me. Like for instance how the light worked in conjunction with the radio and how air traffic control had nothing on their scope. After it happened, part of me kept thinking I just dreamt it or I was seeing things, but for easily 45 minutes afterwards my night vision was completely fucked. The brightness of the light was comparable to staring directly at a camera flash, except the light lasted for more than an instant. Lost my vision almost entirely for about 3 minutes. It made me really nervous because I still couldn't really see outside the plane when I was approaching to land. Fucked with my depth perception pretty badly and the landing was rough.
Be me. 9. 2007 I think. Kinda hard to remember the year. Parents just bought a new trailer so we can go camping again. We had one before, but sold it when I was 4. We decided to head to the Bruneau Sand Dunes in Idaho. The first time we went there. The first 2 days are fun, the second of those days rains all day. Night of the second day. The rain had let up earlier, allowing my dad to cook on an open fire. I go to bed in the trailer. I slept on a nice folding couch in the trailer at the end of the trailer near the door. In the middle of the night I suddenly wake up for an unknown reason. Family still asleep, but I hear a strange grunting sound. I end up thinking that it was my dad snoring. The grunting sound starts to sound closer as something comes out of the darkness of where my parents were sleeping. It was a strange, monster thing, body covered with long hair with long arms and legs, and a wide toothy smile. I just kinda lay there as the thing slowly approaches me. After what feels like hours, it finally reaches me. It stares at me as it lifts a single claw up and reaches forward. Cuts a small hole in my sleeping bag near my feet and makes a cut along my left ankle. Suddenly, I woke up and started crying and screaming. It doesn't wake up my dad or brother, but my mom does. She comes over and asks what's wrong. Quickly explain the dream I had. Mom is a bit skeptical and says that I probably dreamed about a badger or that our dog moving in the trailer scared me. Neither me or my mom, however, could explain the hole in my sleeping bag or the cut in my foot. Ends up saying that I cut my foot along the counter somehow. Get a band-aid and tape for the sleeping bag and go back to sleep. End up never experiencing something like that again. It was probably a dream or something like that, but I still have a scar on my foot from that.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.